Cool. All right, cool. So I do want to preface this by saying I'm here with Lucy today. So, Lucy, I think it'd be really cool for you to kind of tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do. And then after that, we can kind of talk about why we're here today, which is to talk about the super successful challenge you just did, which was your first ever challenge. So it's really cool that like your first ever challenge was so successful. And then we can kind of talk about like how you see that evolving over time in your business. So let's start a little bit about, who you are and what your business is all about.
Awesome. Okay. My name is Lucy Hutchings. I'm a registered dietitian and a busy mom of three. And I have been a dietitian for about 16 years, but the last three, I've been working on building my private practice. So I focus on mostly helping women that are struggling with perimenopause, struggling with the stubborn weight. I help them to learn how to heal from within so that they can lose that weight, gain the energy, and do it all without restrictive diets, without the calorie counting, and really just get their body back. So that's what I focus on in my business, and a lot of it's online, mostly online. And yeah, and it's been a challenge so far. And then I ran my first challenge just about 1 month ago, I think is exactly when it was. And yeah, I feel like I kind of found like something that works for my business.
Which, first of all, has to be a relief. But
Yeah.
so what kind of made you think about doing a challenge in the first place?
So I think it's partly because I just love it. I have been in challenges myself
Mhm.
for many, many, many things, even outside of nutrition. There's a woman that I followed that was into minimalism, and I loved all of her content. I loved following her, and I would do her yearly challenge every year. I did it many years in a row. So this was way back before I even considered starting a business. And I just really enjoyed it. I loved the community factor. I loved actually getting things done because I
Yeah.
felt more motivated to actually do something because I knew lots of other people were doing it with me.
Mhm.
And so I loved the concept of doing it. And then about over a year ago, it was over a year ago that I really decided I want to do a challenge. I want to bring a group of ladies through something, I didn't know what,
Mhm.
together to help their nutrition, to help them on their journey. And it took me over a year to finally do it, but I'm actually glad that I waited because it was actually a challenge. The challenge was a challenge.
Yeah.
It took quite a bit, and I'm glad I waited because I felt like this was the right time for me to do it.
Mhm.
I felt comfortable with the tech, I felt comfortable with my audience, and I was finally really ready.
Yeah. I love that. So tell me a little bit about, your offer in general and then what the challenge was and how that kind of relates to your offer.
Okay, so I run a 3-month program where I help women to balance their hormones and reduce inflammation so that they can really lose weight, especially during that perimenopause time. And so the challenge was a no sugar challenge. It was a 5-day no sugar challenge. And I definitely really had to, it was really difficult to figure out what the challenge would be. What were people interested in? What were they willing to sign up for? Was it going to be no sugar? Was it going to be no processed foods? I mean, it was really hard. And I think that I made the right choice with the no sugar. Sugar is really inflammatory and it's going to give them a quick win. If they can go 5 days without sugar, they're going to feel better. Although I was hesitant. I mean, I really didn't know what 5 days of no sugar was going to do. I wasn't sure that that was going to give anyone enough of a win. It
Mm.
felt like a really short amount of time, but I was wrong because this was kind of an experiment. I
Mhm.
discovered through this that 5 days was enough for people to get wins. They were sleeping better. They had less bloating. They had less sugar cravings. They were feeling so much better. And so I think that that was the right choice. It got them on the journey of that decreasing inflammation, helping them. Some people lost weight, and so it gave them the quick win that they needed so that then at the end of the challenge, when I said, all right, if you want to continue with this, if you want this support. If you loved this, then book a call with me, a free call, and we can talk about what the next steps look like.
Mhm.
And since they loved it so much and they were getting those little wins, I think it
Mhm.
helped to get them to book that call.
Yeah. That's so cool. And so, yes, like they always say, you have to get people as quick a win as possible. And even a small win, like it's amazing what kind of like it's all the dopamine, receptors that we have where it's like even just the
Yeah.
smallest win makes us feel like, oh my gosh, I want to get the next win and the next win and the next win. It's like, you get addicted to feeling better and hitting those wins. So that's so cool that you were able to find something that does give them a quick enough win. And I think that's the crux of why it was so successful. Because if they
Yeah.
hadn't got any wins during that, then they wouldn't have, right? They probably wouldn't
Mhm.
have been interested. The whole thing would have been a bust. But
Mhm.
because you had so many people getting wins, I think that was kind of the real pillar of what made them say, oh, wow, like if I got that kind of win in 5 days of not eating sugar, imagine how much more she can help me, right?
Right.
So out of all the people, so let's kind of talk about getting people to your challenge, right?
Yeah.
What kind of things did you do to market it? Did you already have an audience? How did that work?
So I did have an audience. So my Facebook group had about 8,000 people in it.
Mhm,
My email list had just about 3,000 people on it. Now, they're not like, even though those numbers sound pretty decent, they're not super active. So it wasn't like a super engaged amount of people. Um, but I was able to get 150 people signed up for the challenge. It was a free challenge. So the way I did it was, I just put up posts in my group, and I probably could improve upon this for the
mhm,
next time I do this. This is definitely something I could improve upon, but I just put up posts and, tried to use some stories to really get people engaged, put up some reels and things like that on social media, sent out a bunch of emails, and just had a landing page for them to, put their name and email in so that they would get all the reminders.
mhm.
Um, I think that was pretty much it.
Wow, so you reached out to your already existing audience. You didn't do like any additional lead generation for it.
Right. I kind of, word of mouth to some of my people in this community. There's a couple practitioners that I work with that they
Mhm,
did put it in their newsletter, but it was mostly just
mhm.
my Facebook group. I think I might have posted it in a couple other Facebook groups a couple of times. Yeah, I do remember I did that, but I didn't do a ton of following up on that, so I'm not even sure that it really counted.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. So you were able to kind of leverage the groups you already had. And
Yeah.
then you got 150 people to actually commit to this. They signed up for it. Now, how many people do you think were actually really active? So what was the actual
Yeah.
challenge? So they had emails going out every single day, they posted in the community. So how did it work?
Yes. So for 5 days, they got an email first thing in the morning with a short video from me in the email and a
Mhm,
few like helpful tips. Oh, and when they signed up, they got a workbook, they got a recipe collection, and they got their instructions for, all the details of what they needed to know.
mhm,
During the challenge, they got their daily email with motivational tips and all kinds of things in it.
mhm,
I mean, I tried to keep it as simple as possible. And then in the Facebook group that I already had, I did not create a second one. I just used the one that I already have, and I put up daily posts for them to comment on.
mhm,
I went live every day in the evening. This was unscheduled because being a busy mom, I wasn't sure if I could, what I could commit to. So
mhm,
I popped in. It turned out to be every day around dinner time, and was able to, from my kitchen, show them what I was making for dinner to go
mhm.
along with the challenge, because I did the challenge along with them, of course.
Yeah.
And I just, put up a lot of posts, and I got a lot of engagement. So I think I actually tracked it because I was giving away a few prizes, nothing big, couple small gift cards, couple small sessions for things. And I needed to track how engaged they were, because the prizes were based on engagement. So every time they commented, they'd get a point. Every time they put up a post, they'd get even more points. If they
Mhm.
invited someone to the challenge, then they would get even more points.
Mhm.
So I had to track all that, because then the people that got the most points would get the prizes. So
Yeah.
I would say it was actually, I probably wrote down about 40 names that were
Oh, wow.
commenting. So yeah, it was pretty, I was pretty impressed with the
Yeah.
number of people that actually participated, because when you run a challenge and there's only a small percentage of people that are actually going to participate, even compared to who, who, how many signed up. So it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
quite the same.
Yeah, that's pretty good though. So it's like a little over what, 25% or so? That
Mhm.
must have been pretty active. So that's a pretty good percentage. So you had some
Yes.
pretty good, engagement and activity once they opted in and they were there and they were doing all these different things. So you kind of nurtured them throughout the whole week by interacting
Yes.
with them, showing them that you were doing the challenge with them, by incentivizing them. So how
Mhm.
did you end the whole challenge?
Okay, so I did forget to mention that in the middle of the challenge, I
Mhm,
had a guest come in to do a separate Zoom
mhm,
for anybody that signed up. They got the Zoom link, and it was, in the evening, on in the middle, and it was all about physical movement. She was
mhm,
a personal trainer, and so we talked about movement during your perimenopause time, and people
mhm.
seemed to really love it. I think I had 40 people actually show up for that,
Oh,
so
wow.
that's
Yeah.
another pretty good number. And then um, the ending of the challenge, so it ended on Friday, and then on Saturday at noon, I had another big session in Zoom where I was doing a Q&A, plus I was giving them the next steps. And I think I titled it something that was like how to keep the momentum going, because
Mm,
I really
yeah.
wanted them to actually show up to this.
Yeah.
And I did have a lot of people show up and were really engaged. They
Mhm,
asked questions, and I did my whole normal spiel that I usually do during a typical master class, of showing them why what they're doing now isn't really working,
mhm,
and what they kind of what they need to be doing, and
mhm.
how working with me is going to help. And
Yeah.
then at the end of that session, I offered them a free 1 hour strategy call,
Mhm,
so that they could, talk about. And I really took the pressure off them. I said, you do not have to sign up for anything. I did mention a little bit about my program,
mhm.
and I, just encouraged them to just take advantage of it. And I ended up with 13 people signing up for the
Wow.
call, for the free call.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then, so of the people who showed up for the call, kind of tell us a little bit about how that went when it came to actually closing the deals on that you had done for the challenge. Because, like, let's be honest, we do challenges for two reasons, right? One is either to grow our list, to put it out
Mhm.
to the general population and grow our list, or to make our list more engaged and to nurture them into an actual sale. So, how many people actually ended up buying?
So the majority of the people actually bought something, whether it was my high ticket 3 month offer or my low ticket little 2 week starter package thing.
Mhm,
And I was shocked, because I've been doing this for 3 years. I've been doing sales calls. I've been, on lots and lots of calls with women to work on getting them into whatever program I'm offering. And it has been difficult, and this was a whole new thing. This was
mhm,
totally different. They were coming to this call having been through a week with me where I
mhm,
showed up live every day. They got a short video from me every day. They really enjoyed the time that they had with me and the little wins that they were getting.
mhm.
And so it was totally different. I mean, I still, of course, went through the same process of talking to them about their challenges, and exposing that gap of where they want to be compared to where they are now.
Mhm,
But it was just so much easier when I said, okay, this is kind of what I offer, and this is, how you work with me.
mhm.
Most of them were ready to do something. I think that
Yeah,
the know, like, and trust was really high. They
mhm,
really enjoyed the week, and they wanted more.
yeah. I love that. I think it's so true. Like that nurturing factor is so important and it's so strong, especially right after a challenge like that, because they're super warmed up at that point. So,
Yeah.
so in the past, I mean, you've come close to having those types of sales, but not really quite like that. So,
Right.
what do you think was different between the, in the past versus this challenge?
I think that they knew me so much more
Mhm,
and they they just loved connecting with me. And I think I think the thing that I heard the most was how much they loved watching me from my kitchen, just doing my thing, cooking, and not it. I heard several people say that they liked that it wasn't, some like really formal setup thing.
mhm,
It wasn't polished. I was literally just in my kitchen
mhm,
making dinner with, my audience
mhm,
and showing them, like, how I throw things together, and they loved that, and I think they just connected with me more during that time, and yeah, so it just made it so much easier.
mhm. I love that. So yeah, so by nurturing them throughout the week with the challenge, you were able to close them so much easier at the end of it, and you're able to get a large amount of sales within a week time frame, which is
Yes.
amazing. So what would you say, obviously you're going to be doing the challenge again, I'm assuming. And
Yes.
so, like what kind of things did you think went well, and what kind of things do you think you would change and do differently next time?
I think that I would do better with the marketing ahead of time, and that, hopefully working with you, Michelle, is gonna help me figure that out because I'm not really quite sure what more I should do for marketing, but I think getting more people into the challenge would be number 1.
Mhm,
And, it would be nice to maybe have a VIP paid upgrade for those people that are willing so that I can use a little bit of that money to cover the cost of the challenge because there was a cost. I
mhm,
used texting and that does cost money. And I also had prizes, so that cost money. So it would be nice to cover the cost with that.
mhm,
Um, so I think that just doing more ahead of time in order to get more people in. I think that the challenge went really well, though. I think doing the daily emails with the short video and showing up live every day, I think that went really great. Maybe I would have a different platform for it. I know we have talked about maybe doing it on school instead of on Facebook so that it's a little bit more focused, so that
mhm,
I think that I would probably get even better engagement.
mhm,
And I think, what went well was just showing up every day and
mhm.
just connecting with them, and I would definitely do that again. I'm definitely gonna do another challenge,
Mhm.
and hopefully soon, because that is definitely how I was able to generate that revenue that I've been trying so hard to generate.
Yeah.
And it made it just so much easier to have those sales calls and to just have people sign up and feel comfortable with putting a larger amount of money down
Mhm,
on their health. I think that they just saw that there was value in this.
mhm.
So,
Awesome. So basically what we're hearing is if people are having a hard time getting those sales, to try to put together some sort of a challenge.
yeah.
Give it a run, see how it goes. But sounds like it was super successful for you. There's lots of different ways to get clients and lots of different, freebies are essentially the biggest thing because like you said, that's how you generate that know, like, and trust with people. It's by giving things away for free, giving them a taste of working with you and giving them a taste of what you can do. And then they engage with you and they ask to work further with you. And so I think challenges are a great way to do that. And I think you're definitely on the cusp of something with your business and kind of figuring that out because I do think it takes some time for different businesses and just different people with their target audience to test out freebies and see which ones are
Mhm.
the ones people compete for, right? Which are the ones people, sign up for. And so it takes some time to figure that out. And once you do figure it out, it is like a breath of fresh air. So
Yes.
I hope, if anything, this video can be encouraging to others, a little bit of an insight into how to run a challenge and, why to run a challenge. So Lucy, if you're talking to anybody that's watching this video who maybe wants to run their own challenge, what are some tips and tricks that you would recommend?
I would say it doesn't have to be as hard as I made it. I think that showed up as if they were paying a lot of money for it. And so that's why I wanted to make sure that they were getting so many things, the lives every day, the emails every day with a video. But it doesn't have to be that. It could be way, way simpler. You absolutely don't have to show up live every day. You don't have to put as much into it. So I think if somebody was thinking about it, I think it's okay to do it in a simpler way. And if you're able to plan out as much ahead of time as possible, then that definitely makes it easier. I had all of my emails. Well, actually, I was composing some of those emails as the week went on, but I had a general idea of what it was going to be. So having as much written out ahead of time is nice. And
Mhm.
I think that the biggest thing is to just show up and engage with them. So
Mhm.
it could be a simple challenge, but if you're talking to them, whether it's DMs or emails or whatever, and you're just really engaging, I think that it would work well in, no matter what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love that. We'll go ahead and make sure that we have all the links for Lucy below. So if you're interested in that sugar challenge, she will be doing more of them. So you can get in on that and join her school community. We'll have that in the links below as well. And thank you so much for watching.